Can you please bring us live?
We are now live.
Thank you. Let me call to order this special meeting of the governing body, November 4, 2024, at about 4:02 p.m. in the city council chambers. Let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilor Romero Worth. Councilor Cassett, can you lead the salute to the New Mexico flag? And Councilor Lindell, give us your invocation.
Thank you, Mayor. If you'd like to join me in the us version of the serenity prayer. God grant us this serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Are there remembrances today? Anybody? Well, let's take a minute as we look outside and see the first snowfall. Think about people in our community who are cold, who are hungry, who may need help, who may need assistance, who may need just a safe place to sleep and stay, and extend our capacity to help them and our heartfelt recognition that life for them is hard and we want to make it easier. Thanks, everybody. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Certainly, Mayor. Councilor Cassett? Here. Councilor Castro?
Presente.
Councilor Chavez? Councilor Faulkner?
Here.
Councilor Michael Garcia?
Present.
Councilor Lindell? Councilor Romero Worth?
Here.
Mayor Weber?
Present.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? No votes to oppose. The motion carries. Matters from the city attorney.
Ms. Mayor or councilors, if you'd like to go into executive session, now would be the time under subpart H2 of the Open Meetings Act, section 1015(1), regarding limited personal matters, in particular, the appointment of Randy Randall as interim city manager.
Mayor,
Yes, Counselor.
I move that we enter into executive session pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, section 10-15-1H, subpart 4, for discussion of personally identifiable, nope, back that up. Scratch that. I move that we enter into an executive session pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, section 10-15-1H, subpart 2, for discussion of limited personnel matters.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to go into executive session. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, can you call the roll on that, please?
Certainly, Mayor. Councilor Cassett?
Yes.
Councilor Castro?
Yes.
Councilor Chavez? Councilor Faulkner? Councilor Michael Garcia?
Yes.
Councilor Lindell? Councilor Romero Worth?
Yes.
Mayor Weber?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. We will suspend until we come back from executive session. For the moment, we'll go meet in the council meeting room. Thank you, everybody. Look, I assume we are still streaming and still live. In that case,
We are still live.
thank you. I will turn to Counselor Merriworth for a motion to bring us out of executive session. If she can locate her cell phone. You know, I think what Counselor Rivera used to do is have it printed in his desk.
Yeah, and then you got to find it. If I have my phone, it's always here. Mayor, I move. What do I move? Pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, Section 10-15-1J, I move the governing body reconvene an open session and state for the record that the matters discussed in the closed session were limited to those specified in the motion for closure.
There's a motion and there is a second. Is there a discussion? Madam Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Certainly. Counselor Castro, Counselor Chavez, Counselor Faulkner, Counselor Michael Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Lindell, Counselor Romero Worth,
Yes.
Counselor Cassett,
Yes.
Mayor Weber,
Yes,
motion passed.
thank you.
Mayor,
Yes, I would entertain a motion.
I would move that we approve the interim appointment of Randy Randall as city manager.
There's a motion, there's a second. Discussion? Madam Clerk, can you call the roll on the motion, please?
Certainly, Mayor. Counselor Chavez,
Yes.
Counselor Faulkner,
Yes.
Counselor Michael Garcia,
No, and I'd like to explain my vote.
Counselor Lindell,
Yes.
Counselor Romero Worth,
Yes.
Counselor Cassett,
Yes.
Counselor Castro,
Yes, and I'd like to explain my vote.
Mayor Weber,
Yes.
motion passed.
Very good. I will turn to Counselor Michael Garcia for a chance to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And my no vote was in no disrespect to Mr. Randall. It's more that I don't believe that we should be pulling staff from critical positions, especially when somebody is in an acting position of one of our most busy departments. You know, when somebody oversees the community development department, and also there's vacancies in the affordable housing, I just think we need to really work on filling positions versus pulling positions and leaving less staff to really get the work done. And so I just, from a public administrative standpoint, I don't see this as a good move.
Thank you, Counselor. And Counselor Castro, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. I also wanted to explain my vote because I understand that this is an interim position. So I would like to encourage anyone out there who is qualified to apply for the city manager position. And if this takes a little bit longer than we had anticipated, I imagine that we'll be here again. So thank you so much, Director, but we'll be seeing you soon.
Thank you. Any other comments? Counselor Lindell, not explaining your vote. We've already.
I'm not explaining my vote. I have a statement I wanted to read. I need to address comments made in the New Mexican by a counselor after our executive session, October 30th. The quote made it sound like a vote was taken in the executive session. Most counselors
This is out of order,
would
Mr. Mayor.
breach executive session.
This isn't on the agenda. This is out of order.
Yes, this is a point of personal privilege, I think, and it has to do with the process. So I don't know why it would be out of order.
She's not addressing the vote and she wasn't explaining her vote, but she asked for it.
Okay, I'd like to have the floor after Counselor Lindell, please.
The quote made it sound like a vote was taken in executive session. Most counselors know that would breach executive session rules. No vote was taken. Let me repeat, no vote was taken. In fact, no vote was taken when the council returned to session. That leads to a second issue. The executive session privilege of confidentiality. No one is to talk in public or to the press about the conversations held in executive session. Because the item was withdrawn, sharing anything with the public or the press, whether it's accurate or inaccurate, is a breach of the privilege of confidentiality that executive session offers. We have very frank conversations in executive session that we believe will be kept confidential by this governing body. That was not the case last week, and I, for one, am not able to trust that executive session conversations will be kept confidential. Do not minimize the seriousness of this. It impacts our ability as a governing body to address important sensitive issues. How do we write this? I'm requesting a training presentation to be held soon at a council meeting. I sincerely hope this never happens again. Thank you, Mayor.
Counselor Michael Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I believe Councilor Lindell's statement is an attempt to silence individuals in regards to providing their opinion on how we, as a governing body, move forward. If an individual has an opinion that is not stating any facts or information that was derived from the executive session, then those are false and baseless accusations. And again, another attempt, which has been many attempts made by many of these counselors on the governing body to silence individuals, which is very unfortunate. I believe we as a governing body are here to represent the people first and foremost. And if an individual wants to provide their perspective on how their governing body, how the public's governing body is operating without disclosing any information that was provided in an executive session, that is within their rights. So I definitely have some concern in regards to the attempts to silence an individual and their providing their opinion publicly. So very disappointed in the statement, and always happy to move forward and have any discussions with any counselors should they have any challenges or problems. But to bring forth in this manner, it's very unfortunate and an attempt at bullying, in my opinion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Counselor.
Mr. Mayor?
Worth.
Yes, I think we're at a teachable moment. And I think it's good to take a moment to be clear about what our rules are. So there was a quote in the paper that said a text message was sent that the mayor did not have enough support to get his requested city manager appointed and confirmed. Now, one counselor cannot speak for the governing body. The governing body speaks when it votes. No vote was taken. And I just want to read to you our governing body procedural rules. And on page 15 of the rules dated January 12th, 2022, no disclosure of executive session matters may be made unless and until the governing body has approved by vote the disclosure of the information. The confidentiality of matters discussed during an executive session is held by the governing body, not individual members of the governing body. Any member of the governing body who violates this provision shall be subject to censure and other penalties in accordance with law. If a member of the governing body wishes to disclose information shared during an executive session, that member shall immediately move that the context, I'm speaking, thank you, of the discussion in executive session be disclosed. Disclosure requires a vote of the majority of the whole. Now, we did not take a vote on the nominee, so we did not make a statement as to what the governing body thought. We did not actually even discuss anything after the last executive session. So I think it's inappropriate, and I think we talked about this, talking to the press. You know, there were counselors who spoke about their personal views, but then there were counselors who spoke characterizing what the governing body thought. And the governing body made no action, took no action, spoke not a word in public. And so I don't think you can characterize what the governing body did or didn't think about anything. I would also point, as in this teachable moment, and I think I support Councilor Lindell's idea that maybe we need to have a training on this. The Code of Ethics, Section 1-7.5. Confidential information. First of all, let's talk about what confidential information is. It's a definition.
Point of order,
Mean-
can I get
mean-
clarification on
means-
confidential information that was disclosed?
No.
Means, excuse me, I'm speaking.
I think
Means
that's-
information which is acquired by a public official or public employee by reason of his or her public office or public employee, which has not previously been made public and which is not required to be made public under the Inspection of Public Records Act. Now, in our ethics pages, page 6, which is, what section are we at? 1-7.7. It specifically says, item D, misuse of confidential information. A public official or public employee shall not use or disclose confidential information when he or she knows or reasonably should know that the use or disclosure will or may result
Again, point of
in a
order, Mr.
financial-
Mayor. I'd like to
Excuse
know
me, I'm
confidential
being,
information that was disclosed, and if not, this is a major attempt at bullying and silence.
this is not
you
bullying.
please-
This is
Can you please cite
one
where any
counselor,
confidential information
one
was
counselor-
disclosed? Can you please cite
Counselor,
or any
let her
confidential
finish,
information
let her
was
finish her
disclosed, Counselor?
remarks, Counselor, and then you can have the floor.
one counselor characterized what the governing body thought.
Information.
That
that's my
was
opinion.
confidential information.
Let-
All right,
All right, I don't want to get, can we not get into a back and forth? I think Counselor Romero Worth has the floor to finish her comments. Counselor, I will give you an ample opportunity to make your comments as well.
a public official or public employee shall not use or disclose confidential information when he or she knows or reasonably should know that the use or disclosure will or may result in a financial gain or the avoidance of a financial loss on the part of any person or entity other than the city. So again, I just want to make clear for all of us and that our governing body procedural rules and the code of ethics speak to this. You can't have one counselor out there characterizing the position of the governing body when the governing body has taken no votes and made no comments in public.
Thank you.
All I
Counselor.
have.
Counselor Michael Garcia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I believe the statements made are completely baseless and factless. Now, I'm going to read the statement that was provided to the press. I think Mayor Weber did not have enough city council support to get his requested city manager appointment confirmed. In the interim, I have full faith and confidence that Deputy City Manager Archuleta Maestas has the skills and experience to carry out the necessary duties while Mayor Weber moves forward with the city manager appointment. Now, let me put into context for you all. Conversations around the city manager appointment just didn't begin during the executive session. It might be a surprise to some, but there were conversations that were had beforehand that did not violate any rolling quorum issue, which led me to believe that the support was not there. Now, I'll reiterate, there was no confidential information that I disclosed. Basing my opinion off of conversations held prior to the executive session, that's fine. It's false and baseless accusations that I ultimately believe are bullying. It's a silencing treatment that several on this council have continuously done to myself, which is very unfair, not only to myself, but to the constituents I represent. So we can cite the rules and ordinances and whatnot, but until there is evidence that I disclosed conversations that were held in executive session, then they're baseless because it was my opinion. I have the right to have an opinion, Counselor. You might not believe that, both Counselor Lindell and Counselor Romero Worth, but I have the right to have my opinion, not only as a city council member, but as a member of the public. And we have to remember that we are trusted with the highest duty of ensuring that we are representing the public's needs. And when an individual wants to try to silence their representative by giving their opinion, then that's an attack on democracy. That's an attack on our process. That's an attack on our entire public. And if this is how we as a body are going to act, then it becomes an autocracy, which I believe several on this governing body may think it is. But that's not actually how our government operates. There's 9 of us on this governing body. We all have the right to provide our input. We all have the right to provide our opinion. And at the end of the day, we all have a right to vote the way we believe is in the best interest of the public. So I'm very disappointed in the process that unfounded today, because this is not how we should be treating each other. We should allow each other to have our own opinion. We should allow each other, and not only allow, but encourage each other to speak up. And what I'm seeing right now is an attempt at not allowing an individual to provide comments to the press based off of their opinion. So with that, no other comments, Mr. Mayor.
You, Counselor, anyone else on this subject? Counselor Cassidy.
Do you just want a point of order that, as we have these discussions, we frequently talk about how we are not supposed to ascribe intention to anybody else in the governing body other than ourselves. So I do think that I can see how there's a lot of that conversation happening now. I want us to be very cautious of that. Whether it is, we feel that a rule has been broken. I think that we don't want to ascribe intent there. And the same side, I don't think that, ascribing, this idea that some members of this council want this to be an autocracy. That's a pretty extreme statement that is baseless. And I can, understand the frustration. We all get frustrated with each other at various times. But I do want to remind us that we do need to speak from our own intentions, knowing that we do not necessarily have the insight of what our colleagues are thinking as they move forward making those statements. Thank you.
Thank you. I do think it's always good to review our policies and procedures. It's always a useful thing to remind each other through training, through interpretation, and through the guidance of people who are experts in either what our requirements are for disclosure following an executive session are, or through guidance on interacting with the media, not just one publication, but the media more broadly, is a useful thing. We can all do better, and I think we can all be more careful and mindful of the requirements that we've put upon ourselves to maintain a sense of trust that things that are said will not be shared in an inappropriate way, whether that happened in this case or not. We should always be careful that the trust among members of this governing body is really the most significant thing that allows us to do our work together and to be able to work collaboratively with each other. And we may, from time to time, simply have to go back over not only what our procedural policies are, but what some of the boundaries are that we all should do our very best to observe with and to each other, to maintain courtesy and to maintain civility, and to make sure that when we work with each other, we work for the benefit of everybody in the community, and put our personal disagreements aside while we try to arrive at the best outcomes for the people of Santa. Thank you very much. We are adjourned. Yeah, wait 1 second. Mr. Interim City Manager Randall has a word to say.
Thank you. I just wanted to tell each and every one of you that I'm honored and flattered by your trust in me, and that I commit to you that I will do everything I can to do the best job that's possible during this interim period. So thank you.
Mr. Randall. That was a very nice way to end the meeting. Thank you, sir. We're adjourned.